everyone, this is Randy. Welcome to this edition of E3 Minutes for Life. And today, E3 Minutes brings us to downtown Greenville, South Carolina. I'm standing on the banks of the Reedy River. You can see the beautiful waterfall behind me, one of the prettiest places in my mind that I've shot in E3 Minutes, at least in a long while. Old park here, historical records show this area has been settled for almost 300 years. Beautiful old rock bridge here. The big pedestrian bridge that they put in place there is kind of a one-of-a-kind in North America. Water comes over that waterfall, comes down here, turns and goes straight away from me here, down another waterfall about 50 or 75 yards over that way. But as beautiful as this park is, and as amazing as that particular waterfall is, I'm not going to talk about that today as much as the generalities of what we can learn about people from water. You know, in 6th grade physical science, we begin to learn about water and the different properties of water, some of the truisms about water. One thing we learn about water is it's going to take the path of least resistance. Water is trying to get to the bottom of the hill with as little problem as it can. So it's going to weave and wind its way around rocks and trees and different things until it gets to the bottom. If you put enough drop in one place, you're going to get a waterfall, especially if there's quite a bit of water. It makes something beautiful like what we have behind me. But with people, sometimes you get a group together and they go over a cliff. They make a lot of noise, but it doesn't really do much. We can't take transportation over that waterfall. We have to climb around it. You know, it's hard to climb up that waterfall, but when it comes over, it does draw a crowd. You know, it draws people all around it here. Another thing we know is if water is coming down, but then it gets to a still place and stays too long, it's going to become stagnant. It's going to be stinky. It's going to not sustain life for very many productive things. It may have a few microorganisms in there, but the more stagnant it gets, the less it can sustain life. And it really doesn't do anybody any good. In fact, it repels people. If we have a constant flow in and a constant flow out, that water stays fresh. We continue to move it forward. It can bring transportation. It can provide recreation. It can bring commerce. It can move ships. If we pressurize water, we can send it uphill. And then all of a sudden, we can use it with pressure to do constructive things. Now, it can also do destructive things going uphill. I agree with that. You know, you look at blast mining that they've done in the years past where they blast water up against the side of a hill. We're using high pressured water to brush our teeth these days. You know, use high pressure water to clean your sidewalks. But it takes an external force to pressurize that water. The water by itself won't do that. And then finally, the last thing that we learn when we're that young and we're learning about water for the first time, if we get it hot enough, it'll rise instead of going down. If we make it steam, then it'll rise. And it doesn't matter about the sticks and rocks in the way, it rises above that. And we see some people who are passionate enough, driven enough, motivated enough, incentivized enough that they are working above those problems. They're getting past those problems because they're quote unquote, they're supercharged. They're at boiling point. You know, the old adage in the book, the 212 degrees. And so I would just ask you, what state are you in? Are you flowing downhill just trying to find the path of least resistance? Hey, don't come tap me on the shoulder about what I'm doing. You do you, you let me be me. I'm not going to tell you what to do. Don't push me too hard at work. Don't ask me to take on extra responsibilities. Don't dump things on my desk that aren't in my job description. Are you coming downhill and have gone over a cliff and you've never really kind of gotten back into control again? Are you stagnant in a pool? Been in the same job for too long, gave up hope on moving forward, lost your passion? Are you a part of a mob that's just making a lot of noise and drawing a lot of crowd, but not making a lot of progress? Or are you rising above? Are you being like steam and rising above to go after or achieve something, accomplish something, create something, discover something that only a person who has that kind of passion can do? Hope this has been encouraging to you. Hope it's been challenging to you. For this edition of E3 Minutes for Life, I'm Randy, and we'll see you next time. Bye-bye. Hey everyone, this is Randy. Welcome to this edition of E3 Minutes, the Extra Mile. This is a biblically based truth that goes with the E3 Minutes for Life that you just watched about this water and waterfall behind me. But I wanted to kind of carry that a little bit further and talk about this from God's point of view, from a biblical point of view. You know, when we look at water in our life, and all the stuff I just said is true for Christians the same way it is for non-Christians in business world, family life, whatever. But I want us to look at this waterfall and think about life. You know, there are times when we come to points in life and we walk up and we discover something beautiful like this. You know, can you imagine the first people who came over that hill right there, or came over that hill right there and saw this waterfall, and just how amazing it is. I mean, even when I walked up this morning, I'd seen it online, I'd looked at it on photos and videos, but it's even more amazing, especially from up there on that bridge. You can look down on it and see it. It's just amazing. There's people all around in this park. But how often do we come up on a waterfall from the bottom and look at it and think that's beautiful until we have to climb it? You know, the rocks are slick, the water is going downhill, we're trying to go uphill. And all of a sudden we're wondering, you know, God, why did you put this in my life? Why do I have this challenge in front of me that just seems insurmountable? I just want to stay back and look at it from a distance. Think of it if you found it coming from the other direction. You were in a canoe before we had cars and trains and whatever. You're in a canoe coming down river, and all of a sudden you hear the rush and you begin to realize, oh, we're fixing to go over a big drop. This could kill us. Don't know how big the waterfall is. You know, and so we're scared of it from the other side. You know, we want our life to be like this water right here next to me that's in this slow moving, pretty predictable, easy to navigate area. But God doesn't always call us to that. You know, God promises He's not going to give us more than we can handle. God tells us, hey, you're going to have troubles, but take heart. I've overcome the world. And so as you go through your life and you're interacting with people and you're trying to be something that God called you to be instead of just doing something someone asked you to do, I just want you to think about how you're perceiving those waterfalls that you come to. What are you giving off? And I got to admit, if you know me well, I tend to sometimes want to tell big stories about the negative. That's not what God has for us. God has given us the beauty of waterfalls to enjoy from the top or from the bottom as we're going over or climbing up them, so that we can know He's in charge. Because when we get past it, we can bring glory to Him through it. Hope this has been an encouragement to you, and I hope you'll be an encouragement to somebody else today. For this edition of E3 Minutes, the Extra Mile, I'm Randy, and we'll see you next time.